If everyone who visited Wikipedia gave them $1, they'd have enough to stop asking for money for an entire year. If everyone who visited Wikipedia gave me $1, I'd have enough money to shut the fuck up forever. Until then, support the habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. I don't know if I'm a Joe Rogan fan, but I know I don't hate him. I enjoyed his character on News Radio where he played a conspiracy nut, and then we found out years later when he started a podcast that he was just playing himself. I've always felt he's a knowledgeable and exciting mixed martial arts broadcaster. I never watched Fear Factor, but that wasn't his fault. I just thought it was a stupid concept for a show. Hey, lay in this pile of scorpions and we'll give you money! Like someone was coming up with ideas for parody dystopian game shows. So like, this evil corporation makes people humiliate themselves or do dangerous things for money. Like, I don't know, they stick someone in a car and drive it off a cliff, and then they make them eat a bunch of spiders or some shit. Or like actual shit. And then someone thought, let's just make this a real game show. And I've watched clips of his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, and I've enjoyed most of what I've seen. Joe Rogan recently signed a deal for $100 million to bring his podcast to Spotify, and as of August 31st, his new episodes started broadcasting on both Spotify and YouTube, and apparently at the end of the year, he'll no longer be uploading to YouTube. So Joe tells his audience, don't worry, it's just a licensing deal. Spotify has no creative control over my stuff. I'll be able to have whoever I want, whenever I want. $100 million and Spotify has no leash on him? I mean, I know that tech companies are stupid with money sometimes, but whatever. You gotta believe him, right? Except, he launches on Spotify and nearly 50 episodes are missing. How one would even notice out of over 1,500 episodes, but obviously, Rogan fans are skeptics, so they went digging. A post goes up on Reddit. There's a lot of episodes missing. Look at the names and you'll see a clear pattern going on here. Alex Jones, Milo Yiannopoulos, Stefan Molyneux, Gavin McInnes, who has a podcast on Spotify, all people generally considered pretty right-wing, right? And then Chris D'Elia, which, he's in a bit of trouble right now. But then Tommy Chong, Joe List, Nick Kroll, just a bunch of comedians. Is this a pattern? Why are they on the list too? Well, conspiracy theorists attract other conspiracy theorists, so we have things like this from Rogan's audience. You guys really can't see it? Think about it. Joe List, Michaela Peterson. These weren't amazing episodes, but they were not controversial. Most of the other names you can understand. Lists a bunch of the names I already said. This is all about liability. All of this is a smokescreen for him getting rid of just a handful of episodes that create a potential liability for the show regarding #MeToo and racism. Then he mentions a couple examples and says, really look at the list. Peterson is just a part of a really big 3-card Monty. Michaela Peterson is the daughter of Jordan Peterson, the guy who tells people to clean their room and makes Americans believe that you'll be arrested in Canada if you call a trans person he or she instead of they. She tweeted about her episode being removed, claiming it was censorship, but then it was put back up, so of course, she was fine with it. Now what about Alex Jones? Surely he'd have something to say about this. He's gotta be pissed, right? The ultimate conspiracy theorist and anti-censorship advocate. Well, he says he talked to his pal Joe personally.
Is Spotify censoring the Joe Rogan podcast? And I didn't know until I talked to him this morning, and he explained it. They've got 1,500 plus files and then some migrating over, and they've had a few problems here and there with corrupted files, with the naming of them. And Spotify wants to have a first rollout, then a second rollout, and here's the key. Joe Rogan's favorite 100 episodes of the last 10 years or so will be left on YouTube starting December 31st when he goes exclusively to Spotify.
Meanwhile, here's what his audience on Reddit are saying. I'll be honest, this is some sellout shit. JRE just became a carbon copy of all other safe media, it seems. Joe Rogan is officially a major player in cancel culture. So, anything that isn't totally extremely left-wing violence-loving pro-rioting bullshit is out? And this is honestly really worrying for the future of JRE. The second Joe goes exclusive on Spotify, they're already censoring his content. Not good at all. You know what's not good at all? When Alex Jones is the one calling for calm and trying to be the voice of reason. But here's the thing. If anyone was targeting specific individuals or ideologies, they did a pretty trash job. For example, Stefan Molyneux, who I don't know shit about, but Wikipedia describes as a far-right white supremacist and a men's rights activist. One of his other episodes is still up. Also, look at all the other people they left up. Jordan Peterson, who appeared numerous times on the show. All of his episodes are there. Ben Shapiro, everyone's favorite lil right-winger, he made multiple appearances. Roseanne Barr, who lost her show for calling a black woman, quote, the offspring of the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. Ted Nugent, one of the only non-country music right-wingers in music. Candace Owens, who dumb hicks on Twitter love to have on their side so they can claim they're not racist. I'm not racist. One of my favorite political commentators is this here black girl. Steven Crowder, more famous for his change my mind meme than anything else now. Adam Carolla, who outed himself as a COVID denier on Twitter recently. And Abigail Shrier, author of the book Irreversible Damage, The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters, which suggests that girls are transitioning because YouTubers made it look trendy. These are all right-wing voices that are still up. But cancel Joe Rogan, he's a leftist now. I thought he was the one person who couldn't be compromised. First off, if you think anyone can't be compromised with $100 million, dude literally moved from California to Texas because the taxes were lower and he'd be able to keep more of it. And second, did people think Joe Rogan was right-wing? He's willing to have people from all over the political spectrum on his show and let them speak. That's one of the big things his audience loves about him. But the other day, I was watching his interview with Bob Saget, where he said, and I'm paraphrasing a little, that Trump is an awful president for the situation we're in, and that America needs a president that can be empathetic and calm people. That sound like someone who's right-wing? And I love Rogan fans because they're like, oh, well, I know he's not right-wing, but I like that Rogan has controversial guests on. He doesn't always agree with them, but he challenges us as the audience to hear other viewpoints. And sometimes they make pretty good points. And then he has Miley Cyrus on, and they're like, haha, FFS, the Spotify deal is really coming to light now, progressive crap. And I'd rather light my own head on fire than listen to anything Miley Cyrus has to say about anything. So what you're saying is you do only want to hear the viewpoints you want to hear. So, do we believe Alex Jones that these episodes are coming? Already, they've uploaded 3 of the missing ones. We have to rule out Spotify getting rid of all the right-wing ones, as I've already demonstrated. There's probably as many or more on there than there are missing. I reached out to Spotify's press team for a statement as to whose decision or responsibility it is that these episodes are missing, and of course I didn't receive a reply, but I would have to guess it's Joe Rogan's. He got paid $100 million. Do you think Spotify fucking installed ClipGrab and started uploading all these files? You think they also wiped his ass with their tongues and called him sire? No. I guarantee Rogan's team had to upload them. What do you think? Spotify listened to, I don't even know, 4,000, 5,000 hours of content? They don't give a shit what's on there. What they care about is nearly 10 million subscribers, and his podcast getting 2 million views on YouTube on a bad day, and 10, 12, 17, 37 million views on a good day. So either Alex Jones is right, there's some technical issues with some of the files, or he's leaving some off to be put on later in order to highlight them, or if someone's trying to bury them, it's Rogan himself. The best ones to look at are the ones where you think, why would that be gone? So I skimmed through Nick Kroll's episode, where Joe Rogan calls Antifa, which he pronounces Antifa, a bunch of maniacs. But then he also calls Trump preposterous. The Tommy Chong episode, by the way, another appearance of Tommy Chong already exists on Spotify, but the missing one begins with some comments from Tommy Chong about how pussy is the fountain of youth. And when Joe Rogan says, what about gay guys? Tommy laughs and thinks about it for a second and then goes, well, what's the oldest gay guy you know? And Joe kind of laughs and says he'd have to think about that. I guarantee there has to be more controversial moments on Spotify than these, but if it's anyone's decision, it's Rogan's. And maybe he did think of this as a time to purge a few episodes he's no longer happy with. And if you believe in freedom of choice, should Joe have the freedom to make that decision? But if all these episodes are still up on YouTube for now, Wouldn't you think he'd know people would then go seek those episodes out specifically? So if he's worried about being #MeToo'd or having something brought to light that he wants buried, wouldn't this just make people go dig for it? This is why I waited to talk about this subject, in the hopes that we'd know more by now. So far, his only response was on September 10th. He posted this thing on Instagram mocking people who are calling him a sellout, with his face superimposed over Taylor Swift's in the Shake It Off video. Is that a response to all this shit? I don't know. It's still a lot of questions without answers. Man, if only we knew some guy who had a show where he talked to people to get answers about things. Well, guess we'll never know the truth.